Finally. Hello, good people from the internet. Welcome back to here, A-létheia and the Speak Up Club. Tonight, we're finally live on YouTube after 2 weeks of break. Um, there's, as you know, guys, we never begin 100% ready. We have to fix some details with the people of Instagram right now. We're about to begin. Anyways, if you guys have any comment, tonight is gonna be a Q&A on the topic that you can see on the title. Pickup lines versus the state of our perception of love today. And as you know, love changes. Love is dynamic and is susceptible to the time. And we can say that today we have, oh, sorry, people. We have, okay, here. I think it's connected. Is it?
The screen here, yes.
Yeah, well, apparently it is. Okay. So we live here in Instagram as well. Good, great. We got the two sites. Nice, nice. Finally. So as I was saying, love is susceptible to reality, to time. And we cannot really deny that when we speak about time, we are definitely, hello, Alejandro. We're speaking definitely about the time that we are living. We all recognize the time we are living because all of us are plugged in some way, somehow to this reality because reality is being reinforced by the virtuality of itself, the virtual reality that is even stronger sometimes. Hello, Camilo, welcome. Prepare any question if you want to. So again, as I was saying, and all the different reasons why we see reality today from the perspective of a person that lives reality not just through their own eyes, but the eyes of everyone that comments on online. And it is impossible to be, today to face reality without some way, a type of connection on the social media. I got friends that have forced themselves to not be in any social media possible, but they have WhatsApp. WhatsApp is also social media. You cannot really escape it. For more that you want to be a rebel and you want to say like, no, 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 social media doesn't have anything to do with me. You cannot really escape it. And love is unescapable. Love cannot escape the social media either, and you cannot really see that people today are not affected. What I mean by how we love, how we express love, is not affected by the media that we use to sometimes get in contact with the person that we love. How many people do you know today are together because they began a relationship firstly online? I think everybody knows someone, or even we have an experience like that. I've had my experience in my time when I was a single person, and well, I will say that those experiences led me to not really saying that it was an effective thing because obviously they ended up in nothing. But I still say that yeah, you could easily establish a romantic relationship online, and you can begin from there, from your online status, and then you move on to a possible real encounter. Sometimes the real encounter never happens. That is an experience that I have had too. Mr. Michael, welcome. If you have any question, please shoot. So continuing on what I was saying, yeah, there have been people that have been successful at not only finding the person they love online, but also keeping that relationship stable. I don't know anyone that have been that successful, but I'm not necessarily a person that is supposed to be, like consider the person that knows everyone. I know my people. Everyone have contacts, but I am really aware that my life is not that different than the life of many other people that have my same conditions, and that's what I can use that as a reference to speak about this topic tonight. Um, in fact, the topic that we're speaking about tonight is not something that I invented on my own. This was brought up by an ex student of mine, someone that's very dear for me, Mr. Pedro. Hopefully, he's gonna show up tonight. And this topic was really challenging in itself because it's not really one of those things that we get to speak about here in this channel. Picking up lines like, dude, what do I know? Exactly. That's one of the things that I have to consider. What do I know about picking up lines? Mr. Luis, welcome. Thank you for coming over and enjoy. If you have any question, you can shoot. So I am really not a person that will qualify being the perfect or expert picking up lines. And there was a friend who offered themselves to participate in this conversation that he happens to be an expert apparently. My friend Andres. But my friend Andres, I don't have a way to link both Instagram and YouTube together. I'm really, really not knowledgeable of the both platforms on how to work and or integrate them together. It's really complicated for me. I'm really sorry, people. I will study a way to maybe in the future, in one life, having the capacity of having both. The live two people on Instagram and to people on YouTube at the same time. Let's see. Let's cross our fingers that I become wiser in the near future. Going back on the idea of the pickup line. So, what did I do as a person, as an educator that is being requested, speaking about a topic, even though the topic is not really my forte? Well, I had to make my research. I had to do a lot of thinking, a lot of analyzing, remembering, comparing, referencing, etc., etc., etc. Things that were related to the idea of, the experience of being in the position as a single person of trying to pick up a person, right? Let's explain. Pick up a person mean not like, you go on the car on your car driving and then you pick up your friend or pick up your mom, not like that. Pick up as having the opening for a possible romantic encounter with this person by exchanging firstly a few words. So this is obviously not something that is new, but it's not definitely 100%, let's say, something that we have had all through our history. Yes, of course, throughout history, there have been a lot of different books that have been written about how people used to express love for each other. That's normally what is registered from the prose element and a narrative that obeys many different principles of the different type of books that speak about this type of romantic encounters that started with a phrase. Reality is really difficult to be remembered in history when it comes to that momentary reality, like listening to that conversation at that time. We all know, we all, sorry, enjoy this today because we have the media. That's what I was, that's how I began in the starting of this video. The media that we all share give us lots of different possibilities that people in the past did not have. And for us, trying to understand how people in the past said the things that they said, we had to only rely on what's on paper. And what's on paper, stylistically speaking, not necessarily is passed exactly word by word. Not it was not really the case in the past, in our past, and there's a lot to have that we need to double check and multiple time checks, and historians are constantly finding out information, discovering old tablets or old scrolls that clarify or sometimes even contradict things that we used to know about the past. The case of love is exactly the same. So, what can we really say about expressing love for us, like really seeing it happening, if it is not during the age of video, any type of video, starting from cinema all the way to WhatsApp, right? We have so many different examples of how people were filmed during an expression of love, from just simply the flirting gesture to a kiss, you know, when you blow up a kiss, to a proper kissing scene. And then, obviously, of course, we all know the different levels of filming that exist today that display expressions of affection between two human beings of any kind. That exists, but then again, what we try to conceive today is love, not just the make believe of love, love as it is supposed to be real. Where do you see this? If you guys have any chance of be witness any type of footage regarding, let's say, weddings, let's say, family parties, baptisms, funerals, um, let's say children's event of any kind, a game or an award, a graduation, etc., etc., etc. I'm referring to love as you express it. And in those moments, you get to see the faces of people that actually love. Some of them can actually appear annoyed because of the circumstances, but you could tell who loves and who doesn't, because all of us have been there. All of us relate to loving because all of us had families. Some of us have been, of course, more fortunate than others, like having bigger families or denser families or better, let's say, conditions in terms of demographics, or simply just more loving families. You know, that is also an advantage. Some of us have been, let's say, fortunate with or blessed by having both our parents together, or at least one of them along the way, or really caring ones, if even if they were split. Still, we all have memories of our families that, no matter how bad and terrible some of our families were, we have really good memories that form the way our thoughts somehow convey what's good and what's bad. That's how we humans understand reality, about how we judge reality. It all begins from home. What's good, what's bad. Morally speaking, your family is the one that responsible for teaching you your moral codes. We have spoken about this in previous videos. Of course, that all began from love, and love between the two people that were the one in charge of carrying the reason for you why you're here in this planet. Okay, to making that happen, right? You human beings, I include myself as a human being, were all products of love of any kind. Okay, even if it was short, we was still love. That love started with someone saying something to someone. And that is basically the topic, what we are referring to today as a pickup line. The issue is that when did this happen? This is not eternal. There was a time in which weddings, for example, were organized by the family members, like especially the parents. They were arranged. And this happened in Latin America and still happens in many other places of the world. India is one of the cases. People got together because the families agreed on a situational, or I'm sorry, an agreement. I'm sorry, agreed on conditions of mutual benefit. Okay, so what pickup line will work for that matter? Though it is true that just simply by the sense of showing affection, pickup lines have always existed because they have always been the guy, the whisperer, the guy that sneaks out behind the husband and tries to seduce the wife by saying, "Hey, hey, why don't we?" and so on and so forth. That, yes, that is something that have always existed, but not necessarily something that have been acknowledged. I just told you that finding books that we're referring to or describe how this situation used to happen, lucky if you actually get something that is not altered by the intentions of whomever had the option to write this type of book. It's difficult. Text is always susceptible to be altered in terms of its intention. Video, on the other hand, can be portrayed in one way or another, especially if it is highly edited. But when we're speaking about old fashioned footage, it's difficult. It's difficult, not as easy as it is to be done today. So when we make a collection of all this footage and we realize, okay, something must have been awesome to be in the line that this guy used. So he picked up this lady because this lady seems to be lovely, right? You have seen those videos. And then you could say something totally different than that from both sides, from the guy, from the girl, or from whomever was part of in that family. We all judge the things that we find funny because we relate to them in a funny way. That's Judging things like that doesn't really mean that those things are that way. So, considering when we can begin to say that this was a reality, a possible situation that our families started because of someone used a pickup line, well, you're gonna have to reduce that to really a short period of time in the whole history of humanity. And I'm speaking about since women started working. If you check in history, this didn't happen throughout the whole 20th century. It started possibly 30 years on, okay, officially. It started before, but officially 30 years on, okay? From that moment, women began to enjoy something that for men have always been for granted, which is the capacity of supporting themselves economically speaking. And that was a deal breaker for everything that used to be life before. When a woman risked accepting a proposal from a man, that meant that her life could definitely be ruined forever. For a man, it could be considered simply just making a mistake, a social mistake. And depending on your social condition, depending where you were born, I'm speaking about the Western world, of course, you could simply just, wash your hands out of the situation. In societies that were more conservative, well, you will have to may get some type of compensation from your family to the family affected. But apart from that, you could, keep your life the way you want it afterwards. Men were never really judged badly by this. In fact, you had always the idea of the mistress, the second wife, the concubine, etc., 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 which is obviously a position that women had in a time in which women could not really fetch for themselves. You see what I'm going with this argument? about how things changed completely when women started working, when women started getting a salary. Okay, in that moment, women could actually make a decision about who they wanted to accept a pickup line from. That was the moment in which you started seeing a comparison. And even today, there is this public debate about equal payment between genders, depending on the country where you are. I know that Latin America doesn't have that much because I don't know. One of the greatest thing in the third world is the fact that really controlled by the corporate world as we think. One of the cases is, for example, this a woman in an organization can earn more or less the same thing that a man having the same role if she has the same qualifications. For some reason, apparently, this doesn't happen the same way in all the countries. And an example to that is how this debate is really famous in the US. I really don't know literally because I am not in the US, so I can really. But according to data that you can read online, that is a situation that happens. All right. So a woman having the capacity of taking a decision and saying, yeah, I think I will accept a drink from this person. Okay. That moment was obviously opened by the reason or let's say that like the first move that this person made, this man made, which is using the correct phrase at the correct moment. Now, experience plus so many different conversations have led me believe the idea that it's not exactly like that. Like the pickup line made the whole thing happen. There is a combination of different things, and the pickup line happens to be, something that made the situation like smoother or not. Okay, apparently, when women started having this capacity of taking, this making a risky decision of going out with this guy that decided to ask. I have a little bit of an accident here with you too. Thank you. So this person, this woman that took the decision of saying yes to this guy that risked saying something. Well, the risk is obviously higher in the case of a woman compared to the case of a man for many obvious reasons. Like, for example, we have the cases of so many women that have been victimized by crazy people, you know, and that happens. Okay. And I'm not using this to simply just trying to reinforce the inflated terms of femicide because I say that the murdering behavior from men goes for both sides. Okay. But still, women suffer a lot in this particular situation, the situation of dating, of sometimes falling victims of crazy people. Okay. So there's always that risk, okay, higher in the case of women. And just the fact that that man, that person decided to say, hey, you look cool. And in the way that person said it, that woman put her guard down and said, okay, keep speaking. And from then, you know, history, right? You're alive. We can say that maybe that's the way it went, right? I know my home personal history, and it's not exactly like that how it happened. I'll say that I agree more on the position that many people have, in which women go with whomever they prefer to go. That's it. Doesn't really matter if a guy used the perfect line or the worst line. Even the guy could screw up badly from the very get-go, the very beginning, and still she's capable of saying, yeah, I'm gonna give you a chance. And that's how normally it happens. And that's how I think, in my own experience, that it happens. And I think that happened a lot in the past, but it was kind of like an attitude that was more and more adopted by the general population of women that, let's say, in the last years began more aware, way more aware of that situation, that they were free to choose. Look, I can simply see my own example of, my parents. When my parents met, they met at a party. So we're speaking about them meeting in the 70s, late 70s, early 80s. And I was born exactly in 1980. So you see, that was the time. Okay. 70s parties. And I guess so many of my friends had the same sort of own experience about where their parents met. It was a celebration. It was the capacity of a woman feeling free, relaxed, to let go, and finding that person, right? To get there, to get to the party, they needed to have the social connections. And the social connections meant that you're not going to invite anyone to your party. You're going to invite people of certain type of value. And that type of value was the laying out like the platform, perfect platform for people that were somehow connected, met. As they met, they hit it off, and then families started. Let's go on the generation of people my age now that are supposed to have families today. Well, these people my age now, more than likely, were connected through somehow social media. So it was not necessarily the party. It started before the party. It started with the hey, and the hey could have been a Facebook not, or in the time I think it was a poke, right? It's been so long that I don't use anything about Facebook, but I think it was a poke, right? It started with that, the idea of a poke, right? Pretty clever idea, right? And from there, you got all the way to WhatsApp. Hey, what's up? What are you doing? So many different ways in which you can practice your pickup lines by using correctly your social media. There are, I know, men that are experts in the craziest, the corniest, it's the most imaginative pickup lines ever. I couldn't really pick up a line myself. So obviously my homework was to, investigating. So I found this article. I'm going to read some of the pickup lines so you can actually know what I'm speaking about, even if you're not really familiar to the whole idea of pickup lines. And I know if you're part of my audience, you know that this is not a topic I speak about often. So let's see. Pickup lines. Let's see. Number one. On a scale from 1 to America, how free are you this weekend? So corny. Are you French? Because, madame, you're fine. Life without you is like a broken pencil, pointless. I'm gonna skip some because, I mean, come on, dude. This is one of the reasons why I hated pickup lines when I was a kid. I couldn't see my face saying something like this. Look at this one, number 10. Are you good at math? Me neither. The only number I care about you is yours. That was the time in which the only chance you had to, let's say, hook up with a person was by sharing phone numbers, right? Give me your number. Typical thing for a girl to that wanted to, get rid of a guy. Fake phone number. Most of the time, it was the I don't know the corners, the pizza restaurant, or the laundry place, etc., etc. It was always something awful. Anyway, let's see. Pick up lines, but now from Tinder. This one, some of the most popular ones that people from Tinder share. All right, number two. Is your last name Ford? Because I Mustang with you. My God. Number four. Are you a time traveler? Because I see you in my future. Number seven. Should we get coffee? Because I like you a latte. I know my wife is making such faces. I know for sure that this wouldn't have worked with her. I know. I'm 100% convinced that this wouldn't have ever worked with her. At least not me saying them. Maybe if there have been someone, Leonardo DiCaprio looking guy, possibly, who knows? Who knows? But me, I don't know how to put that face. Look at my face, people. Look at this face. Best pickup lines for women. Oh my God. Hold on. No, no, no. Then I skipped. Then let me finish with one of the Tinder pickup lines. I say, I see you like tequila. Does that mean you give me a shot? Look at my face. How do you think that will work? That doesn't work. Well, I don't know. Maybe if one day a lady watches this video and considers that I will look cool or sexy by saying those lines, thank you beforehand for your thoughts. But if I don't believe it, it won't work. You see my point? This is something that I must share, that I believe is one of the most valuable things that I could say from my own experience regarding the matter, because I'm not that knowledgeable. But what I know is this: there is something that many guys would love to have known when they were younger. Me, for example, if I knew what I know today about how women behave when I was, let's say, 20, my God, I would have possibly been extremely popular, despite how I don't believe that's true. I don't think I would have been as I was, at least. Okay. I think I would have been really, really, really popular, because I know now that I made my life much, much more harder that it had to be, as I was a young guy, and being single, meaning being lonely. I did not really know how to put one plus one together. I really did not know how to find myself in that situation. So, of course, the only move I knew of how to work things out is, being present at the correct moment. And that's how it worked throughout most of my years, right, as a single person. However, there was this time that this worked with a pickup line. I do not know if there was some type of, let's say, predisposition beforehand. I don't think so. I'm not about to share some heavy stuff. So, people, if you're in the audience, don't get it against me. But well, this happened with a person whom I dated for a while. But this person, I shouldn't have dated that person, because this person was related to a previous girlfriend of mine. So, of course, the fact that I somehow jumped from an ex-girlfriend to a connected, related person, it looked evil. somehow. At least it looked low. Okay, it looked low. So of course I couldn't really be proud of that, and it was not really something I was, um, boasting about in reality. But because of that, emotionally, it affected me a lot. So one thing leads to another. Let's say you can tell it's some type of karma. The thing is, how it all started. It started with a comment on my side that was basically playful, not really caring. And that playful, not really caring sort of attitude is the clue or the key of how a pickup line is supposed to work. A pickup line is not really the opener. A pickup line is simply just lean over a full package. Is that thing that makes the final eyebrow raise. That thing that makes the final, say like, yeah, you know what I mean? I'm speaking about a situation that was meant to happen nonetheless. It was meant to happen. It was this girl knowing that she was interested from the very beginning. And this guy simply just confirming that there is a click. So the pickup line in reality is not really saying hello. The pickup line is saying, yes, I'm on. The issue is that in most of the cases, the guy is not aware that that is actually what's going through. Okay. And this obviously happens because of the lack of experience, the lack of knowledge that a guy at that age, at young age, really young age, normally has. And why is this? Okay. All right. Let's go first to my generation. My generation, for a guy to start dating, a guy needed to be capable of making their own money, right? We have to know how to make money. Otherwise, we will definitely forget about this because our parents will not pay for anything for us. Newer generations, on the other hand, situation is weird. It's really weird. Parents complain about, accidents that happen to their kids as, I don't know, young pregnancy, ab- young abortion, or even worse, diseases, etc., etc. When parents are the ones that are taking their kids to the parties that go way longer than necessary with substances that shouldn't be there for the ages of the kids. These are parents my age that make such things happen and then later on complain that their kids are derailed. They don't really appreciate the life that they provided them. Come on, parents today, my age, you guys need to grow up a little bit. You need to. You cannot pretend to, give all these tools to your kids, pretending that they're not gonna really do stuff with those tools and end up burned with them tools if that's a possibility. I mean, Murphy law. If something bad can happen, it will definitely happen. That's something that you should know as a parent. So anyway, kids today have the capacity of having relationships from early age without having to understand what means to be responsible, what means to actually be liable for your actions. As parents are paying, they don't know that if they mess up, they have to man up. They don't know. And as they don't know, oh my God, it's so tragic today. And for I'm speaking about ladies that have this misfortune of not really having people that support them and having to take decisions on their own. I'm closely related to a person that had a baby at an age that she shouldn't have. And it's really, really a pain because this lady was supposed to know. Everybody knew. And still things happen the way it happened. I actually have a cousin who lived that. That was my age. And you can say that at my age, maybe situations were not really, let's say, known or knowledgeable by the rest of the public. But today, come on, everybody knows. Everybody knows how things happen everywhere. So when a girl gets affected by a bad decision of having accepted a proposal of not well, a not deserved person, well, when that happens, we need to understand that there are a lot of different things that went on, but it is mostly the parents' responsibility. Okay, I'm really sorry. I have to put you under the bus, parents, but you guys need to look over your kids and look after your kids and really educate them in sense of common sense of life. Give them responsibility so they know how to take decisions. A person that doesn't know responsibility cannot really make a good decision. They will really risk stuff that they shouldn't. But anyway, without being too preachy, going back to the pickup line that will work. The line that worked for me was this person that I mentioned before. Possibly, I think that a lot had to do with the timing in which maybe she was not really in her best emotional moment. Okay, I didn't know, and playfully, I threw out a phrase that was ridiculous, right? She was leaning down on um, hand poster for we were waiting at the cinema line, right? So you have these places that are that serve for you to go to pose and rest with your hand on, and well, she was posing her face because she was tired. And the moment she did that, I it occurred to me to say playfully, silly, "Oh, you happen to have sexy lips." That's what I said. No more. That's what I said. After everything that happened and we started speaking like normally happen with relationships that end, you had the conversation of the hindsight, like why did this happen, how did it happen, how did it begin, how it was for you, how it was for me, etc., etc. She confessed that this was the moment for her. For me, it came along and I didn't even register it, right? And of course, I didn't do it because I was not, let's say, pickup line savvy. I was not the guy who did that. I didn't really believe that that worked. So I never really used them myself. When I did it, I did not know that it was a pickup line. And that spontaneity has never ever been replicated for me, by me, sorry, again in the rest of my life. Never with that effect. I had, of course, tried and it never really worked. Not that way. That time it worked marvelous. Okay. I didn't have a good experience, but it was an amazing bad experience. I could tell you that it works. All right. So if I need to comment on the idea of pickup lines that work, I will not really say that is the line. I would say is something about your sensitivity as a person, your capacity of empathy, that you're capable of seeing something, call it up, and when you call it up, you actually nail it, right? Not many people are basically auditive, that they receive or perceive the world from the way they hear things. But the majority of women are. Okay, so that's an advice I can tell you, right? Majority of women actually listen to what you have to say. And I'm actually addressing now the boys, the kids. I'm super overblown line will not really cut it to the person that you actually care. Okay, what I mean? What I mean is a person that deserves your attention. This is not for everybody. Not because a girl is interested in you, not because a guy is interested in you, that guy is good for you. The best experiences can only be provided by those people that actually care. And to care, you need to demonstrate somehow. It doesn't really happen as when you see the type of behavior that the other person has is simply self-centered, not considering you at all. If you find yourself entangled in a relationship with a person that does not demonstrate their feelings for you, the good feelings for you in any way, some way or how, then you're wasting your time. Okay? You're simply wasting your time. You're forcing a relationship that shouldn't be. Of course, you could say that time works everything, but for how long? You're robbing yourself of experiencing real true love. Now, real true love is different for every person. You can say that not every person is affectionate. I consider myself not very affectionate man. I I struggle with it. The reason is, of course, again, family. And the way I was brought up was not necessarily the warmest of houses, despite the fact that my mom was a very loving woman that for a time had to be a single parent. And during that time, she had to do quite a lot of different things to keep me and my brother in a healthy environment. She managed to somehow give us the best education possible. One of the best reasons why I can tell I'm here in front of you guys is because of her work, right? However, she had to, she struggled a lot during these years that she was alone, that she separated from my dad. And during that time, I realized how difficult it was for a married woman to actually make it happen with another person. She dated men. Some of them were assholes. Some of them were even worse. And eventually, she had to basically let them go because it was not really working for her. Of course, a lot of other different things happened too. My dad, on his side, the same situation. What I remember of my dad, seeing him is how lonely he looked, how deteriorated most of his life was. That happens a lot to grown-up men that find themselves alone suddenly because they get divorced. They don't know what to do and they take all their crazy decisions. And sometimes they get engaged with the first person that pays attention to them, and that's why a second divorce happens and a third. It's terrible, right? That happens with a lot of men in my generation. I got friends that went through this, and they're young people, but still they live this. Why? Because it's possible. Because it's not easy to keep a relationship with anyone. So that's why the pickup line is not that important. It is the keep up line, the one that really matters. Like, how do you keep up with the other person? How do you manage to make your relationship everlasting? Things change. Everybody knows. You change. I change. Every year we find ourselves like doing or liking different things. If that's the case, how come we are spending the same amount of time with the same person every day? If we are changing, that person is changing too. How come we are both, still on the same page to keep ourselves, you know, in a loving relationship? For every married couple that manages to make it every year, Congratulations, guys. You guys are doing things well. For every married couple that decides to split, well, you guys tried your best. But that's up to what it took you. You took your patience, it took your determination, but more than likely, it all started with maybe the wrong vision from the very beginning. There needs to be a vision. And if that person has a vision on you, and you have a vision on that person, you will very likely hit it off, even if your pickup line is a silly, sloppy line. Yeah, it can happen. That's true. It also happens that the person that is for you is a person that you have known for a while and you have disappointed many times. But still, that person has patience for you. And suddenly, somehow, the person makes an opening. And, if you're smart enough, you're going to make it. You're going to have the chance of saying, yeah, I can go for you. All right. People, those of you that are still on, we had in a while four, but I don't know right now how many there are. But if you are here and you have any comment, question, we are open to receive information, and we're willing even to compare your pickup line. And that's actually how I want to make it happen today. If you have a pickup line that you think it will 100% work, well, let's share it and let's discuss it and let's see why it should work, in what conditions it should work, etc., etc. Now, again, I'm not the most knowledgeable person on this matter, despite the fact that I did some reading. I cannot really say I'm an expert. Whomever is an expert is a person that basically spends time doing this, trying to pick up girls. Then again, just thinking about the idea, the livelihood of a person that spends their time, you know, dedicating a lot of energy to get one girl to like them, to then, you know, making themselves distant to get the opening with another girl, and do the same later with another girl, and do the same girl with another girl. That is a tendency that was really reinforced in my time. We even applauded that as a behavior that was, inviolable by all the people that knew this person. Like, wow, this guy, he's a hero. He has managed to pick up so many girls in this short time, for example. True, that was something that was applauded. But was that something that was great, considering the life of people that did that after years? Most people will say that not necessarily is the best attitude. Actually, the majority of men that have been womanizers have not really, aged well, okay, for some reason. They have a lot of terrible memories. They're really sour on this behavior. And why is that? Well, because there are consequences to everything that you do, especially with a person. I mean, you share a few minutes with this person, and in these few minutes, there is a reciprocal, emotion, affectionate sharing of feelings from that person and from yourself. That resonates with your very deep in way of thinking so much that later on you will remember. If there was such a thing as an emotional exchange, you will remember later on, because it's not just you're not just a person that is behind your eyes taking decisions and discarding certain things and liking others. Not really. You are a combination of things, and your feelings are part of your memories. Your feelings will tell you that you remember that person. Every time that you break up with a person, you are wounded. Emotionally speaking, emotionally speaking, you are scarred, and those scars amount to something, amount to predispositions, emotional predisposition. Hello, Max. What's up? Welcome, welcome. If you have any question, shoot. Um, so when we have this type of situations in which we have had an emotional exchange with this person, and when we force the breakup simply because we want to try new, we are wounding ourselves, but also we are wounding another person. This double line of consequences later on might have or might um, propel situations to happen. Okay, sort of like butterfly effects. Okay, they can return to you, and I can tell an example with myself, my own family. My parents divorced properly. They got separated and divorced properly. You know, paper signs and all that. Spent 17 years separated to after that period of time remarrying, paper sign and all. Today, my parents have hard time sometimes burying each other, but still are still married. They got married back when in 2012, and they're still going strong. And I'm super happy and intrigued at the same time for them because I will not really want them to be alone at the age that they are, right? I don't think that you want your parents to suffer. But I did have my doubts when they hook up. I did have my doubts that was that gonna work after all the things, the gruesome, awful things that they said to each other. Will that work? I guess that happened in every marriage that have been through divorce. What about the marriage that's still going strong? I don't think they're strong without conflict because every marriage normally, as is their if they're humans, will go through conflicts of many different kinds. Simply just making a decision. Me and my wife, we have to make decisions all the time, and not all the time we are on the same page. And sometimes we suffer a little bit for not being on the same page. Like this happened in my family. This happens everywhere. Pickup lines are just really a scent of glamour, if you will, that you want to put it on a possible relationship. I guess that before focusing so much on an idea of a pickup line, better than that, I guess, in a little bit close to what Jordan Peterson will say, you gotta have to fix your own jar first. Like, you know, being ready to be out there, being ready to date a person, to take that person to a place that she will you both enjoy. And it's not because you, in a very old-fashioned way, are going to be the provider of anything. I mean, she has her own money for sure, and then she has her own money for sure. Um, it's not about you taking her somewhere. It's about basically you proposing the best way to do things, and she acknowledging your good sense of proposals. Okay, and that's somehow that type of negotiation that happens in every new couple. And sometimes it can happen the other way around. Sometimes the proposing one is the girl, and it's the guy who's, sort of calling the shots later on. And sometimes it goes back and forth. At the very end, if you have worked on your own um, game, like how you portray yourself, how you project yourself socially, who you hang out with, what do you do for a living, how you speak. My God, your gestures, your manners, your values. That definitely is more important than a pickup line. I guess if a girl is interested in you, she will see you before you see her. But of course, that can happen the other way around. I'm not an expert. Okay. Well, I see that lots of people came today, but I don't think that they are at the moment there. No questions have been asked, and we already hit the hour, first hour. All right. Well, people, it's time for us to begin saying bye bye. Again, we are welcoming any question regarding the matter. This topic was uh, requested to us by one of the people that did not show up tonight. But still, if you guys have any questions, you can leave it in the comments, and we, for sure, will comment on that later on. Depending on how welcome this video goes, this is going to be also on YouTube, and as long as as Instagram has it, it's gonna remain on Instagram as well. People can revise it, can comment on it, and depending on the type of comments, we can actually make a comeback to it. Who knows, video form or not? Okay, but for sure, we will definitely try to respond. Now, disclaimer time. Remember, people, that the space that we have here, the Speak Up Club, has open Fridays for these particular sessions that we make, the live sessions that we have in these two ways, Instagram and YouTube, mainly to offer a type of service to all the peoples that have used our services in general, have been our students. And as they have been our students, we, through examples, practical examples, um, put in practice many of the things that we teach in our sessions here in these lives. Obviously, those of you that have been seeing these sessions can tell that there has been a level of change, let's say adaptation or even growth from my side in terms of how I am communicating with you guys. Because of course I have becoming more and more familiar and comfortable, less shy with the camera. It's not an easy thing to do, but at the same time, it's fun. So, regarding the last 2 or 3 weeks 2 weeks that we weren't on live, um, I was sick, and I'm really sorry that I was not able to broadcast those nights, or what's the word? Stream those nights. So, really sorry. We will try to be more consistent with the topics. The next one, I'm gonna send it right now because I've been working on it for a while. It's gonna be based on an anime. This one, weirdly enough, was not connected to any anime because the last ones have all had any connection regarding anime or manga. This one, uh, I had nothing that I could use that would work for this one that I have watched or read. But the next one, it does, and it's gonna be based on a series that at least the first season is the one that I recommend. That is called Psychopaths. So I strongly recommend, if you have watched that one, well, try to remember. I don't know, make a little double check, recheck, overview, whatever you can do, so you remember at least the first season. That's the one that we're gonna be working with. The other seasons, I have a lot of problems with the other ones in terms of consistency, and I'm not gonna be addressing them because I still don't have enough to say. All right, but it's gonna be based on Psychopaths first season, so look forward to that one, people. And remember, if any of the people from the audience one are ESL students, are learning English at the moment and want to begin sounding like me or better, want to get better at your qualifications, especially for certification exams, want to address any language issue that you're having problems with, please comment on a video and we will try to contact you as soon as possible. So we can arrange any type of assessment that we can help you out with. Okay. With that said, thank you, people. For those of you that were almost at the end, thank you. Thank you for your patience and your support. Okay. We tried our best to improve the way that we produce content every Friday from 1 to 3. Well, people, thank you. Bye bye, people from Instagram. Yes. And people from YouTube. Bye bye. Thank you.